Drifting tender, comrade, heroes ride. Her gallant severed away with the tide. The storm-head gathers, comrade, heroes fly. Illusions scattered away with the tide. Why do weathered warriors wander their way where the wanting wonders wait? Hark the herald's anchors away. Here there happens mine escape. Freedom forgone, sinking abyss, comets crumble, Phoebus fades under cosmic clamor decay. Hides a path untaken. Ancient echoes come right, heroes ride. In deafening silence, we'll away with tide. A wave of hazard, come right, heroes ride. Pulling in windward away with the tide. Stellar stories, starward bestrewn, slipping sidewise, see their snakes. Twixt the leaves you'll find Artemis, missing gods and crossing fates. Freedom surging, shifting ahead, comets dancing in her way. To the cosmic clarions accord, along the path not taken. Try, dead, tread on the road that is borrowed design. Through the sum of the signs do they see tomorrow? Tonight, witness then as the end shall begin. What was final lies, floating back, further back, hither back to burn, to come home. Come right, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come right, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come right, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come right, heroes ride, to my final escape. Come right, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come right, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come right, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come right, heroes ride, to my final escape.
Ah! Without a name, heed my call. Sin does stain the heart The one stirreth within, black as night, breathing deeper sinful its blight. So thine end is nigh, take mine hand, all life must return to the land. Lingered at the worm overlong. Purge thy flesh of fear and be strong. Step in from the storm, praise its mercy. Let the sting of the rain stray far from thee. Lightning bright thunderbolt, freeing us forevermore. Now lift thine heavy head and vanquish thy sorrow. Lightning doth strike, thunder doth roll. Now turn thy gaze ahead and look to the morrow. Light shall strike, thunder shall roll. Uninterrupted you, forsaken by all words within the swamp, swallowed by the wind, branded by death from birth. Is this divine torment or judgment? I know not. To the end of the world I flee, to surrender to the winds of fate. But he shuts up from my rage and speaks of destiny and defiance. The samurai and lights within my soul by the storm. Never-ending skies knocking torn. Ever-ending, my eye of fury born. Never-ending, roar, hear my roar. Storm by the storm. Never-ending skies knocking torn. Never-ending, my eye of fury born. Roar, hear my never-ending roar. Winds surrender to the winds, surrender to the winds. Rage surrender to the rage, surrender to the rage. Winds surrender to the winds, surrender to the winds. Rage surrender to the rage, surrender to the rage. The wind of the divine. Soul by the storm, never-ending skies knocking torn. Never-ending, my eye of fury born. Never-ending, roar, hear my roar. Storm by the storm, never-ending skies knocking torn. Never-ending, my eye of fury born. Roar, hear my never-ending roar.
Shintamani, 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 the sigh of the shifting sea, the kiss of the salt sweet breeze, the white of her silken dress stained in red, her memory fading fast, her mother sits, eyes downcast, a torn uniform in hand, farewells unsaid, that once a certainty, lost in grief, a daughter's desperate cries, unheard pleas, forsaken, beaten, tried, on her knees, a prayer passes from her lips into her soul, the goddess whispers, the sea of the land, a continent in flames, the shores of her homeland stained in red. A memory fading fast, her people's hope eyes downcast, a shattered faith renewed in Goddess grace. We pray. Shintamani, 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 Shintamani. The late once a certainty, lost in grief, the people's desperate cries, unanswered pleas, forsaken, beaten, tried, on their knees. A prayer passes from their lips to their souls. The goddess whispers, a heartbeat without harmony is moonlight without dark. The heart seeketh equilibrium, with balance with your love, while still is broken heart. So still this broken melody, compare the shoulder beat, one last step only, and then to life down to sleep.
Shrieks knife through the deep, natureless creatures perverted and evil. From foulness rise a vermin tide. Teeth bare, clawing the air, sing like to sing you. The rats do not fear you in slaughter's king. The piper weeps, just wax mark on your back. Here in the valley your death casts no shadow. Sin's lane comes from the dead. Lay bare and clean, red deep in the bones that feed the menagerie. Burns hot, burns brief, follow till there's nothing left but ash. Dark horizons, boiling seas, pandemonium from the borders. Chaos bleeds, savage nobles culture feeds. Pandemonium, here behind us, follow me. Dig in, pull back the skin. See what's inside you, the sickness that drives you. Bleeding black, demoniac. Pride breeding, blood thrive, these seeds run and weaken the fruits of your making. Testify, come take a bite. Bite down, blood in the cut, choking on life as the light slowly swallow and fade away. Or don't defray, lay bare your more mind till it shatters just like glass. Dust. Lay bare and clean, red deep in the bones that feed your insanity. Unwind, unfold your mind till it shatters just like glass. Dark horizons, boiling seas, pandemonium from the borders. Chaos bleeds, savage nobles culture feeds. memories equipped with the weight of fate. Ever we fight, never we thrive. Ever we fall, forever we fall. Now breathe deep of the darkness beneath the flood, where all of the proud angels drink to their deeds of blood. Their lives twisted and torn into dreams they're spun. Yet ever we still stand tall, invincible. Never we fall. Melodies, our tears are painted in red. Deep inside we're nothing more than science and sinners. In the rain to light and darkness fade. Ever we fall, forever we fall. Now breathe deep of the darkness beneath the flood, where all of the proud angels drink to their deeds of blood. Their lives twisted and torn into dreams they're spun. Yet ever we still stand tall, invincible. Never we fall. As time circles endlessly, the hands of fate train ahead. Straight to the edge, a reflection in the glass. Recollections of our past, swift as darkness cold as ash, far beyond this dream of paradise lost. Ever we fall, forever we fall. Now breathe deep of the darkness beneath the flood, where all of the proud angels drink to their deeds of blood. Lies twisted and torn into dreams they're spun. Yet ever we still stand tall, invincible. Never we fall. For the dreams of home, for the lives we're owed. Zodiac the many, Zodiac the mighty. Wake up, save us, come take us, come darkness come. Zodiac,
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to LoreLines episode 116. We're going to be talking about the Arcadion this week after about 4 weeks of talking about the MSQ. And I know, Aeneas, you have a lot to say about the Arcadion this week. You finished Savage, and there's apparently a lot of revelations in Savage. Because as Yumi and I have been arguing since Eden Savage is canon. So how are you this morning?
I am good. Yes, Savage is canon, and I am excited to talk about it. Although there is a certain caveat to that this time around that's also
Oh,
going to be fun to discuss.
okay.
So
We'll get into that. We have a couple of people, a couple of our members who are still waking up, so we should be joined by Arden shortly.
God, I was sick of you just talking about MSQ for 4 weeks straight.
You loved it. You loved it. And hello, everyone in chat. Thank you for joining us today. All right. So without further ado, we talked about Solution 9 and the Arcadian. So at the end of the MSQ, they fired up the Arcadian again because Zeralja did not like wasting souls in the Arcadian as opposed to on war, I guess. So let's talk about it. Let's
Well,
We'll talk.
when you have servers full of souls and you're not using them for conquest quite yet. I mean, there's other ways you can use it, including the old style of rigging together a coliseum for fights.
it's a fun case too because it does also kind of address what we were going to do with all of the souls that they currently have stored. Because we did start shutting all of their stuff down. The way that Metem kind of bribes us, in a sense, into joining the Arcadian and fighting these fights is on the promise that for fights 1 and championships 1, different tiers of that, he will be deleting, erasing, removing the souls from circulation, freeing. There's a lot of different ways to describe what was promised, but the end result is the same, is that those souls would no longer be used for this purpose. So we are, in a sense, continuing to write the ethereological horror of souls being stored in Everkeep.
Yeah, and
That's a 20 under this table.
Yeah,
No.
I was really happy they started addressing this because we dealt with Arden. We dealt with living memory and the whole world fusion thing, but we didn't really deal with the core ethical issue of Everkeep, which was the capturing and recycling and commodification of souls. And so Arcadian started to do that, and I was like, okay, I like where this is going. Oh my god, Arden, I'm sorry.
A bowl?
A bowl of yogurt instead of breakfast.
My condolences.
So, yes, as you said, we are bribed because I was like, how are they going to get us to participate in this essentially tournament arc? And just from the outset and from hearing about it, I was like, I don't necessarily know if I'm interested in the Arcadian. I mean, how interesting can a tournament arc be? I'm kind of tired of tournament arcs. I don't want to do another one. I really enjoyed Omega, but And then that came out, and I was like, oh, tell me more. And yeah, we.
Do you know how cool tournament arcs are?
No.
Not at all.
But this is just because I'm the lead of the team. Just throwing that out there. I love tournament arcs specifically because they help our character grow. They help character growth. They introduce new and exciting characters on the opposing side of things, and they can create some unique situations behind the scenes. As for this kind of quote-unquote tournament arc with the wall, I was expecting something a little bit kind of more grandiose. What we got in the Arcadian was kind of more behind the scenes, close-minded, kind of just backstage kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
With Matem, we just talked with the event organizer Matem, and he organized just 4 fights for us. That apparently the president of or CEO of Arcadion, wished us to fight,
Rufus Shinra.
and they were all great.
Yeah, I literally thought you were gonna say President Shinra for some reason.
Literally,
No.
that's what's in my mind. Like, he occupies the same space where he has all these souls, and basically this ties into Final Fantasy VII for me so hard, because they were basically using the life stream as a commodity in 7, and here we're doing the same thing with souls. It's not powering, electronics. Electrope's doing that, but it's still a commodity that people are consuming as a resource, and it's very, very detrimental to the cycle of life. So that's kind of why I'm like, oh, it's Rufus Shinra. It has to be Rufus Shinra. I want it to be Rufus Shinra.
You're too stuck on heritage found.
I am. So, anyway.
Anyways,
let's
go back to
yeah.
the beginning where
Yeah.
we just kind of come across.
We agree to the
yeah.
bribe, and
Yeah.
and so we just kind of get thrown in, and they're like, "Hey, you should participate in this match against Black Cat," and this Persona 5 music starts playing, and I was just like, "What is this?" I was so happy.
I actually, it's not super important, but technically they set up 3 bouts for us, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, what's the 4th one gonna be?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very intentional glaring hole there, but it kept me interested. I'll say that.
Oh, absolutely. I was very curious. Oh, who's the 4th one gonna be? I can't wait.
It's an immediate question that springs to mind.
Yes.
It was also fun because it set the tone of this is not just going to be a tournament arc, there is still going to be intrigue, because it's like, oh, you have
Exactly.
3 matches and you get the title, and then
Mhm.
it's like, all right, but we know how raids work.
That's a very
Yeah.
short tournament arc too. Like only 3
Yeah.
matches in, and you're up to the next level.
Yeah,
Normally, tournament matches, especially with like in cities that have so many people in it, so much of the population, you'd think that okay, they'd have some sort of like large bracket where they. I'm a former FGC player, so I know what pools are. You go into the pools, and you go into another set of pools to get kind of weeded out of that, and then you go into the higher tier where you fight for the semifinals, finals, and then grand finals. So this
can
would
you-
technically count as the pools.
Can you tell us what
I-
FGC is for those of us that don't know, like me?
Fighting game community.
Okay.
well, it's
I used to play Tekken, Smash Brothers, and Street Fighter kind of quite seriously.
Okay.
I think that's an interesting point, just for the sake of we have been given a handicap of, hey, we can summon other simulacrum fighters alongside us, and that's how we get the 7 other party members for the raids, which we have to unpack that at some point. But who's to say that Matem also didn't do that as far as the tiering works? The personal way that I've chosen to interpret the reason that we're only doing such few matches is also just due to the nature of what the Arcadion is, right? Because you're used to fighting with enhanced souls. Not a lot of people are going to be willing to use that specific kind of resource for this purpose, because there is a risk that you use all of your souls in the Arcadion and you die for real, because the stakes used to be that. Obviously that's changed a little with us around, and hopefully we will be shutting it down for good at the end of the Arcadion series, but we are a bit of a special case in the fact that we're not using the souls the same way that they are, and they are used to a certain type of rule when it comes to that.
So I will say in MSQ we do run into an Arcadian fighter who is lamenting that the Arcadian's been shut down because they have no source of income and can't afford more souls. And I'm mostly under the impression that there are a variety of different leagues or classes in the Arcadian, and we're only occupying the heavyweight class. And so that's why there aren't that many bouts yet, because after so long, there are only so many people who really qualify to be in that tier. But that's not to
Or
say that
haven't
those
left.
are the
Interesting.
right. But that's not to say that those are the only tiers that are currently being participated in.
Right. That's also a good point because this first tier was called the light heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming we're
Yeah.
going to have medium heavyweight and heavy heavyweight for the
Right.
next two. The naming convention of this was just so many
We
words.
we did get the name of it. I think the next one's cruiserweight and then heavyweight. But
Yeah,
yes,
cruiserweight,
that's the
yeah.
idea, the exact meaning.
I think they're using M for the acronym for the
Yes,
raid
which
series. Like
it took me a
M1 through
lot.
12.
It took me a lot longer to figure out why they were using M than I like to admit. And M stands for match because I was like, why
Yep.
are they not using AR for Arcadion? I don't understand.
See, I wanted R for round, but that's basically what matches.
Hmm.
It's by all of the notes for race stuff were set up with the letter R until like the week before when we were like, we should probably
Sag.
change this. Yeah, so hopefully they keep going with the match nomenclature for the sake of we can do M5 for the next one, because if they do R1 for the next one, I will lose my marble.
They've done that kind of thing where it goes 1 to 4 in the past, or sort of, and my brain is always like,
Right.
oh god, which tier is this? I can't handle it. I like
Yeah.
that about other ones. We're just 1 through 12. I'll just call them 1 through 12 no matter what. But
And
work
will
with
the
me, please.
community. Yeah.
So
okay, so you know the people whose feet I gotta put to the fire. Then got it.
imagine it calling it ARS1 in Duty Finder. Yeah, exactly. That gets
When I
complicated.
was saying that I wanted it to be R, some of my friends were teasing me saying R for Arcadion.
Hey, that would actually be great.
I mean,
I'm
that's
sad
why.
we don't have that.
That's
All right,
why we were
time for
using
a
AR
retcon.
originally.
Yeah.
No,
So
that'd
now-
get if it had more than like 12 matches, it'd get way too close to like an AR-51 rifle.
Good point taken.
No, Lottie.
So we dive in. First match is against Black Cat.
So
And
let's talk about
nobody
Black
says
Cat.
anything.
Let's talk about that unique eye color for a second,
Yeah.
because she's a Makode who has a yellow
Did you say Makode?
to gray.
He
Makode.
did.
Makote.
Makote.
Mikote.
I don't know why. I'm still waking up this morning. Makote, who has a gradient yellow to green eye color.
Her eyes are really pretty.
And it's a bright, almost neon color too. It's almost impossible to miss. Like, it's really, really striking.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't introduced that as a usable eye color yet. So, can one only speculate that she just drinks too much of the Red Bull? That this happens.
I would accept that explanation.
I like that. Let's go with that.
I mean, I think it's
That's not exactly what I believe.
yeah, right, but it's worth noting that it's an aspect from her transformation that kind of carries over to her real form, which is something that we learn about the bleed between transforming in the arena and affecting your own soul,
Mhm.
and very clearly like your own the rest of your features too, in a certain sense. We've seen that somewhere before, and we could talk about that in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's related to that in all seriousness.
I could see
And
that.
she's quite ready to fight us too. Like off the bat, as soon as she's introduced, she's like, "I'm gonna knock you out right away."
I mean, she's got a chip on her shoulder, right? She's got something to prove. Her older sister used to be an incredible fighter in the arena, and she
Yeah.
disappeared. So she's now the only breadwinner for her younger sister, right? And her gym has been closed until very recently because the Arcadion has been closed. And she misses her older sister that went missing, of course, but there's also a certain level of anger of how could you leave us there too, right? So she's looking for her sister, but she's also got to prove that she's also a capable fighter. It makes for an interesting personal character story.
I'm sorry, I'm
I
seeing
noticed
so
an-
Elias comment in chat. Makote hate being called cats. Meanwhile, this boss has a move called making biscuits.
Yeah, it made me hungry.
I have to get this out of my system. I can't get over the fact that they paid someone to hiss at the tank.
Yeah.
Because she
that
literally just
Tankbuster
hisses
every
this-
time. It's
Yes.
great. I actually noticed something interesting about her and about her sister when we meet later. They both have highlights in their hair, and it's the exact same color. Not, oh, that's
Yes.
similar. It's the precise same color. I feel like this is the... There's definitely some I miss you sister stuff going on, because the color matches with her sister's hair and stands out very brightly against hers. It's just interesting.
That's a good point.
Very
So,
interesting.
do we want to talk about the fight itself?
Yes. And we can talk about the savage one. So we'll do normal, savage, normal, savage.
Okay.
Not too much
So-
changes for
No,
Savage
no.
on this first one.
The normal one was kind of spoiled at the live letter, at
Mhm.
least the first, like, 3 mechanics. Where she does the left-right thing, and then the right-left. And then, I don't know did he go over the falling platforms as
No.
well during that? No.
He
No, but I love
specifically jumped before that could be revealed.
Okay. And that reminded me of Cloud of Darkness, the Cloud of Darkness fight, where almost every platform would just fall after just standing on them for too long.
Well,
but
and
this
there was
time
other,
it
like-
wasn't standing on them; it was repeated hitting of the platform.
Platform
My
decay
11 trauma
mechanics,
means
yes.
that anytime I see platform mechanics, I just think of Diablos.
Mm.
We could talk about that.
Yeah.
What do you mean it was all a dream? That fight never happened? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Someone remind me, because I've been doing the Savage one more recently. Does she say something about shadow of her soul in the regular one
Echo
too?
of my soul.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I remember Echo of my soul.
Yeah, the vocalizations from the bosses are identical between Savage and Normal.
Okay.
With the obvious exception of, like, there's a transition to a second phase in the last fight.
Yeah, and I don't think there's an Enrage in the normal version.
Right, there never
When we
is.
get to the Savage, I'll bring up the Enrage.
Yes, we could get there in a bit.
She has a lot of cat-like attacks, such as the one where she does the circle AoE, then does the kind of like the paw prints, and then to another circle AoE. It was reminiscent kind of the boss in Elpis, where you had to kind of like follow the footprints and then figure out where they would be.
Yeah.
It's just straight up Devour from the Carbuncle.
Yeah, Devour.
Devour, yep.
Yeah. There isn't too much, like, interesting stuff we can pick out of the first fight as far as lore
No,
goes.
not
It
really. It
very
was-
much just sets up, like, this is your friend now.
Yeah, the big thing
Very
is like
sick, yeah,
echoes, the soul, shadows of my heart, and then the enrage, which was like you're augmented as you are, or whatever she says. You never stood a chance.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note as far as the echoes of my soul thing goes. It's not that they are rejoined and using like different parts.
Yeah,
of
no,
their
no.
soul. They just have a whole bunch of souls that
Mhm.
she can imprint copies
Exactly.
onto. Yeah. It's more the fact that she's able to imprint a copy onto these things very briefly in order to attack you. They have some degree of identity, but it's very much only storing and copying things. I
Believe
wonder.
it.
Yeah, I wonder where
Shut up.
we've seen those things before, right? So it's an interesting new aspect of what you can do with stored memory and stored souls.
It's terrifying. But can
There is.
I say I was very surprised during the first fight at just how responsive the announcer is to what happens.
Oh,
The
yeah.
entire thing.
They did a great job with that.
My ring.
It honestly just it really enhances the fight for me because I'll do something
Same.
dumb and fall off or like misjudge a knockback, and then it's like, oh dear, the challenge has fallen out of the ring, and I'm like, hey, that's me.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
I have not grown tired of the announcer yet.
No, it's
I wanted
so well
more
voiced.
lines out of him. I wanted more.
Fair.
I hope they continue with this because every single fight was voiced boss-wise and announcer-wise. Every single fight had
was
unique
great.
music. It
Mhm.
felt good. Each fight felt so unique and fresh.
It felt
even
like a
within the
spectacle, which
limitations.
it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, they're limited by your tournament arc, right? But they're also using the fact that you can do whatever the hell you want inside of this tower, and they're using it to its full capacity. It's wonderful.
So after the first fight, because I'm just kind of zooming by, I believe it's then we go
Are we
to the
gonna talk
gym.
about Savage, or do you want to talk?
Well,
about
yeah, we can talk about Savage actually, but I was going off of Naya saying there wasn't really too much different.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think at least Aeneas and Arden or Neela, have you guys done Savage?
Yes,
done the
all the way
first
through.
one.
All the way through.
And my group is currently on M3S. We almost cleared it last night, but we had to stop.
What would you say the differences are between normal and Savage? Just not very much. Pretty much everything hits harder.
I mean, besides the like skill jump enabled to be able to actually clear the fight in Savage, as far as new content goes, it's not too much different. It's the same voice lines, like I said earlier. It's the same insults for messing up, that sort of situation. I think in M3 there was way more wrestling references in Savage than there was
Yeah.
in normal.
Yeah.
Which was interesting to see that it wasn't more like, hey, here's more 14 world building. It's like, no, we saved some things for Savage wrestling wise. Enjoy them.
Yeah.
In M2, the bit where you are baiting the darts across the arena, they actually just took the Savage mechanic and put it in normal, which is absolutely fascinating to me. It's just as punishing and just as brutal. In Savage, it's exactly the same thing. The stakes are just higher because it happens later in the fight.
Is it just limit cut?
It's not limit
No.
cut. There is not a limit cut in this tier. Congratulations, we are free of limit cut. Well, I mean, the
Briefly.
tethers in M1, but it's rare that you even see them with the DPS check.
I know that's PTSD for many raiders.
Is that why you
It's
brought
not
it
even
up?
PTSD
Yes.
for me. It's just stop using this mechanic for like 2 seconds, please.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad.
So
Like,
that's
I don't
P1.
mind limit cut, but I mind it being in it fights constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the real Savage thing we gotta talk about is in M4 when we get there, which is
When
why
we
I'm
get
kind
there.
of holding off on it for now.
Mhm.
So with that, let's go on to P2 and the B-tuber.
The B-tuber.
That's what she is.
Yeah, I have an emote for this.
You have an emote for that on your channel?
Sort of.
B-butts.
Oh wow.
I technically made that for Charlie because they like bees, but it applies here.
I am the exact opposite. I hate bees. I even have a phobia of them. So this is all you guys. Ugh. Take it away.
Would you say you will be sitting this one out?
Oh Jesus.
Listen, I'm working on a script right now, so yes.
So we go to the gym. We see the little gym that Black Cat has, and we meet the McKitten.
That was bad, even for you.
Not wrong though.
What is it about the
No.
Arcadion that brought out all of the puns in every single raider?
Oh,
Genuine
Aeneas.
question.
Aeneas, you'll get to know me soon.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
That was threatening. Loreline's raid night, except Mila is constantly making puns at me and I can't focus on mechanics.
Facts.
I love it.
There is a
Yeah,
hot dad
that's
joke
me
here.
sometimes, not gonna lie.
Well, if we're transitioning into M2, we can talk about the tempering mechanic.
Yes, let's
Ah,
talk about
yes.
that.
So, I'm calling it the tempering mechanic because it's the bit where you get all of the hearts and you start simping for the boss, and this grants her power. It not only heals her, but it actually gives her a damage up in the Savage version. So the mechanic fundamentally is the same. You don't want to get the hearts because you will be frozen, you'll stand in an AoE, you'll take damage, right? But in Savage, this has the added aspect of the boss is actively benefiting from you becoming a simp in a way that is incredibly tangible and dangerous to the rest of the party. Which is absolutely hilarious. We actually call the buff that the boss gets simps, so it's like, oh, 2 simps, watch out, this raid wight's gonna hit harder, right? But at its fundamental level, what we're seeing is a sort of localized tempering, which is interesting because it's happening on a soul level instead of an emotional level, which is what we're used to the Dynamis doing. This is more of an ultimate reaction, which is what I'm calling anything that's aspecting the soul at this point. So it's just interesting to see that they're sprinkling that in at this level already. And it's also just a straight up fun mechanic. Like, it's fun to have to navigate all of these things, even if it's a pain in the absolute ass to dodge all of those arts.
It absolutely is a pain.
Yeah.
But can I say the idea of that and just kind of the underlying theme of the Arcadion is really how horrific all of this is. Like, for the entire game up until this point, we've kind of been told and always treated the soul as this sacred space. And here we are in Solution 9 in Alexandria, and it's kind of like the land of soul fuckery. And I'm just like, this is horrifying to me. Because this is beyond like people's lives. Like, this is someone's eternal existence basically being played with.
It's weird to say
It's
that we're having so
worrisome.
much fun with the fights when, like, taking a step back and looking at it, you sit there and go, oh, this is morbid. Actually, this is horrifying.
Oh yeah,
Xenos was very right about us.
he absolutely was. I never said he wasn't.
Xenos would have loved the Arcadion. Rip to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Xenos Shard Arcadian present.
That'd be so
Was that a
great.
coherent thought?
I mean, I'm just sitting.
But you know what is kind of horrifying to me, and this is a little off topic, but if Preservation were to get a hold of the Resonant,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we know that
Yeah.
they wanted to experiment on Kryl because Kryl had the Echo, but if they can discover a way to give people an artificial Echo, that'd be kind of terrifying. In addition to all this soul bullshit.
It would be interesting to see where they go with it, because they've definitely set up a whole bunch of different ways that they can take the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you eventually, this is jumping ahead in the fights that we're discussing, right? But eventually we are introduced to Eutrope, and she's talking about how her soul is deteriorating from all of this, and she needs to consume your soul in order to kind of stabilize it. And the first thought that comes to mind is, oh, rejoining.
Yep.
Just the same way that we healed our soul when we got corrupted with light ether on the first. But another way to interpret that is kind of down the lines of the research that Aulus was doing when Xenos grabbed him to do resonant research, right? There's an underlying aspect of wrongness to it.
Absolutely.
It is also interesting to think about parallels there of how the Resonant, they were just kind of trying to stuff multiple souls into a body, whereas Alexandria, it's you have multiple souls, but they're stored for later
Well, they're
use
also
instead.
stuffing a beast soul into a body, and we do see
Yeah.
Zoralja put a lot of souls into his body.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly the thought, right? Because Zoralja, he came into this as an outsider.
Mhm.
He had to get the idea from somewhere, so maybe we'll see an Arcadian fighter later down the line. Another person who interrupts our match to to try and take us down that way, you know? 'Cause
Maybe
we are a
they'll go
very
full
powerful soul.
wrestling route, and we'll be like partway through a fight, and then just some fucker runs down through the audience, vaults over the rope, and is like, "This is my fight now."
God, I would love that so much. I would love to be like 75% into a boss fight and just have them be deleted from the arena and see the health bar
Yes.
refill and the name change. I want
Yes,
that.
me too.
But there has to
I
be a
also love to
folding.
suffer.
There has to be a folding chair involved.
Yes. You see the vision, Cobb. You see it.
Just so theatrical, like an actual wrestling match.
Yes.
With the steel chair.
There's been a lot of with the steel chair references in my static when we accidentally kill each other.
Well, it's fun because they do talk to you too, right? They taunt you like opponents. And it's hard when you're in the heat of the moment because I love the thrill of battle not to respond to them sometimes. I know Cobb was sitting in on some of my streams. I'm sure he heard me do this at least a few times, right? You really get into it in the fighting spirit. This time around, I always do, but the fact that it encourages you to have this kind of fun interaction,
Yeah.
yeah, it really makes you buy into the whole thing. It's brilliant.
I enjoyed it very much. The atmosphere is perfect. It's very over the top and cheesy, very much like a wrestling match.
I think the third fight does the best job of this because this is very clearly the wrestler stand-in where they're like, we couldn't do this without putting a man in very, very tight shorts and no shirt, just greased up and ready to beat the absolute shit out of anyone who asks.
Can
right?
I just
Ready to punch the referee.
Can I just say how much I adore M3? I have always, and don't take this the wrong way, I've always been a huge fan of Grinwat. I quote him all the time. I say boom all the time. We go together and just seeing him again here in M3 was just like all my name days came at once. It was great.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
that brings up a question I did want to present to the group is, are we on the same page that this is probably a Grinawat shard? Just
Yes.
for the sake
yes,
of parallels?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I literally said it when
Maybe.
doing the story. I was like, that's literally just the guy,
yeah,
the dude.
as
I'm
soon as he
realizing
said
at
boom.
this moment that there really aren't a lot of Rogan in there, are there?
That is
No.
true.
Yeah.
As I would expect him to be Rogan in, but I guess it doesn't necessarily need to be the case. But what we saw with the ones on the first, I don't know. I'm not convinced yet.
I think it's that also that's part of why it's hard to have the conversation, right? Because there's always a level of, are we 100% certain? Well, no, not until we get like in Eorzea Encyclopedia 5 and it talks about the citizens of Alexandria and their exact shard countertypes,
Right.
right? But Alexandria also has the sort of situation where the soul may not be inhabiting the body that it's supposed to be, because there's
Good
always
point.
a chance that our friend in M3, Brute Bomber, is using a soul of Grinawat, and just that's been the fuel source that's been sustaining him for the last few years. That's maybe something that's been aspecting him if he's already getting corrupted by the fact that he's been using so many souls in this context.
Yeah, that
So
does
I'm
add a
wondering
very
if
interesting
there's-
dimension.
Yeah, there's a potential for bleed there. So even if he isn't the actual shard of Grinawat, he's probably using a shard of Grinawat's soul,
Yeah.
and has taken on some aspects that he probably shouldn't have.
I will say, one of the times I ran M3, someone had glammed them, or fantasiaed themselves into Brute Bomber, had the name Brute Bomber, and he came in and was just like, win or lose, I win.
It's hilarious.
Amazing.
It was great. But no, absolutely. It's bizarre because it's like someone is born, but it's not necessarily them. It's not necessarily the soul of that person. So I hadn't even considered that. So that's kind of unnerving, actually, to be looking at someone and saying, yeah, it might be their memories. It might be physically resembling them, but that doesn't mean it is them.
Yeah, it should terrify you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for that. And yes,
A moment of terrified reflection, please.
yeah.
Yeah, just sit with that for a second.
Right, no, I'm letting it simmer a little bit.
It's also, there's also fun parts about that fight. I was glad to see that the Monster Energy drink that they introduced came back in a way that like was relevant, because it was a very much like, why did we go out of our way at MSQ to talk about this? Because this is very interesting. So he's potting in the fight alongside you. If you were unfamiliar with Savage rating, you have extra potions. It used to be called Tinctures, now it's Gem Drops.
Draft.
It's gem, whichever it is. It's 30 seconds where all of your stats are increased for your job, and there's different ones depending on which job you're doing, right? But it's very important to pot at the right time in the fight to get you that DPS boost you need to make it to the end. It's very much a stat boost, right? In the Savage fight, when Brute Bomber drinks this, he drinks it 3 times and he gets 3 stacks by the end of it, and it's a damage up for him, right? Like, it's a damage up for us. The second time he does it lines up perfectly with when the player is supposed to do it during their mid-fight 2-minute burst.
No, that's
so
amazing.
there is a part where everyone is potting, including the boss.
That's funny.
And when he's potting, it's also like 30 seconds of downtime because he's doing the whole animation. He's not targeting the tank. No one's taking auto attacks. He still punches the referee the first time he does it in Savage as well, right? But it's 30 seconds of downtime where no mechanics are happening, and everyone is just drinking this pot and getting that damage increase. It's hilarious.
That's amazing. I do remember there being another Rogan in there. I think during the crafting quests or something related to the Pelu Pelu. There is a Roganon. But there aren't many of them.
Interesting, yeah.
I am still making my way through the side quests. I'm sorry. I'll get there eventually.
There's not a ton there, but there's a lot of seeds.
Yeah, the ones that are there, it's like, oh ho, oh ho, ho.
Are we ready to dive into M4?
I think so, because there's a lot to go into an M4.
Yes, there sure is.
We've gone through M2 and M3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you guys are completely tempered by M2 after their song.
Definitely not.
I mean,
I'm just like, ma'am, I am taken, and also your fake southern accent makes me go insane.
The southern
It's
accent.
Shawani.
No. No.
Technically, it's to the north,
Who's
actually.
my obedient little bae?
I'm kind of mad that one of my most popular TikTok clips from that fight is me mocking her.
Oh my god.
I'm just realizing now that it's technically in Tyrol, this is a northern accent, and I will be using this fact to cause so much chaos.
We are in the
This is
southern.
Rocky World.
We are the southern part of northern Tyrol.
Yeah, but it's the northern half.
Mm-hmm.
I-
I'm just glad she never goes, well, I do declare.
Oh, I will leave this stream.
It all comes down to cowboy sick music. Hello.
No. Hi, Mouth.
No.
We'll leave that in Type 0 where it belongs.
There's a reason that I clipped that. Congratulations,
My
I'm
internet
going to hang that over your head.
Sorry, my internet got kaput, so I had to go mobile today. So if you hear me wonky, that's the reason.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a little muffled, but you're audible.
So people will be
Okay.
mad if I call it a North American accent.
No, call it
That's
that. It's
exactly
fine.
the chaos I'm looking to
We
see.
know exactly what it is. We're used to it. But yeah, that's about it, right?
So,
Besides
yeah.
the
So the sister who had gone missing.
Makes
You
a sudden
trope.
reappearance.
In a very theatrical way.
Beats Brute Bomber down.
Yeah, we go to celebrate. We're all out there, and then Brute Bomber comes out. You cheated. You had many people fight me 1v1, nerd.
I love that you could feel her entrance coming because of the way that cutscene was getting drawn out. Like, you just knew that someone was going to hop into the ring and knock Brute Bomber flat on his ass. It's kind of what we were talking about earlier. We want that to happen in a fight. I think that could be a lot of fun. I personally think that could be a fun, like, transition into a second phase. But it is very much the whole wrestling thing of, here is the personal story arc of the fighters that you are
Yeah.
now having to experience in real time, complete with just the sheer chaos and memery that is, you just struggled against Brute Bomber and, like, emerged victorious. You've got a title, and here someone comes along and just deletes him off
Knocks
of the
him
map.
down.
Just one
Yeah,
shot,
just, like,
boom.
flicks him over, right? So it does a good job of being like, oh shit, this is somebody we need to pay attention to, and it's of course Eutrope, right? We're immediately aware of who this is because our friend Black Cat had kind of already explained the backstory.
And then she challenges us to a fight, and then Matem is like, I don't know, but then Vince McMahon, up in the heavens or whatever, says, all right, I'll allow it.
Rufus Shidra. That is an interesting one because Matem really did not want that exhibition match to happen. Like, you could see him saying, no, absolutely not. We're shutting this down. We're not doing this right now. Until he gets word from the Arcadian president to let it happen. And he goes, well, okay, might as well be enthusiastic about it now that it is happening. But he's reluctant to let that fight start, at least in the beginning.
The
Which-
president of the WWE.
Yeah.
I sanctioned this fight.
I think it's interesting. I wonder how much conflict there is between Matem and this mysterious president, whom I'm
I also
assuming
wonder.
is the suspicious man on some of the billboards who's kind of blurred out. So, Eutrope is a whole lot of fun, though. The first phase of Savage is, again, one-for-one dialogue-wise what is happening in the normal version of the fights. I'm assuming everyone has at least done the normals at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is when we get to the Savage version of the fight, we get answers about Electrope conducting other elemental aspects, which I think is fascinating because we had been trying to
So
figure out how that works.
I was right.
To a certain extent, yes. It's very specifically Electrope combined with converting the ether of one's flesh that you can draw out different elemental aspects. So I think a good way to compare it is copper, right? We use copper for electrical wiring in real life, but it also conducts heat. It also conducts cold. If we're using ether, aspected ether in terms of, like, this is a physical thing that can be conducted, Electrope is used primarily for electricity, because that's what we use it for, but it can conduct other things. It just has to be fueled by other things. So very much the way that Eutrope starts trying to desperately attack us when her soul goes feral, is by converting the ether of her flesh. I'm saying it very specifically because this is a direct quote from both her and Matem. While you're doing this fight, using the Electrope, she's funneling that into her body. So she is converting her body's ether and channeling that of the Electrope in order to aspect these attacks either with flame or with water. Those are the ones that we're seeing. Those are the only ones we can confirm, but I would be surprised if the same doesn't hold true for other aspects like wind. So that's the big one that we spent so much time debating only to get an answer to in the Savage version of the fight, right? So that's the big one I wanted to share with you all today.
That's kind of huge.
Right? That's what it's like. Oh, the savage stuff is important. Which is really funny because the introduction to the savage fights, Gabro is our unlock NPC, and I will unpack that in a bit because it makes me sad that we can't fight him. He is a cartoonist. He is an artist. He introduces these fights the same way that the Wandering Minstrel introduces, like, extremes and ultimates, in the fact that he's like, oh, here's what could have happened. So the fights are both canon and not, because he's retelling the story with embellishments, but Gabro is also someone who has lived in Alexandria for so long that he understands how Electrope works.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little better than some others, but we could get to that. We will be getting to that. It's interesting to have that be a setup for the Savage instead of any other NPC this time around. I just think it's interesting.
So, Aeneas, question. So Eutrope says that she's using Electrope in this way, with her own flesh. Maybe I am assuming not soul, but flesh.
Yes, it's specifically flesh. And the way that this starts is the phase 2 transition, the ability that she's casting. It's Electrope Transplant. I suggest watching the animation that she's doing for this because she is literally forcing the Electrope cube that she has into her body. She's integrating it with her flesh. So Electrope combined with, like, her body becomes a superconductor for all of these elements. So it's no longer just lightning that she's able to use. She's able to use fire and water as well. Yeah. It's the integration of Electrope into her physical being that is allowing her to become a conductor for these other elements. So I don't know if it's more than that because we only ever see fire and water elements in the rest of the fight. We don't see anything like arrow. We don't see light, darkness. We don't see any other aspects than fire and water. However, this is still more elements than we had previously seen Electrope being able to conduct.
Okay. I think it makes sense in my current state of mind. Yeah, it does.
Some other things of note during that part of the fight is she is also able to create clones, copies of herself in the same way that we see M1, with the same implication being that she can kind of copy paste like a little rubber stamp of herself onto other souls for a brief attack before they fade away. Another example of that kind of mechanic being reintroduced lore-wise. Yeah, the Savage mechanic, exactly.
It's really interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's part about the clone quote unquote thing also makes sense as well. It does, and it all keeps tying to alchemy. Yeah.
It's very interesting that it's fire and water that Electrope can convert. Water makes sense. Earth would make sense too. Fire is kind of an interesting thing because it's not umbrally aligned like lightning and water are. So that's very odd that it would do that.
The umbral alignment for fire is wind, correct? That's why I was using that as an additional, like, hey, we don't see her do this,
right?
Kind of
so
thing.
It's wind, ice, and fire.
But you know what's interesting? You said, Aeneas, that she pulls. Sorry, she merges. She's using her flesh for this, right?
Correct. It becomes an additional conductor.
So what if she is conducting the ether of the elements in a human body? You would have the heat of energy, and you would have the water. That's basically 70% of your body.
Oh, that is an interesting point, Meowth. Oh, I like this. Yeah, because
that gets all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah, it does. So that. Oh. Okay, that opens up a whole bunch of... Jesus, I'm thinking like a bad scientist, but if we were to transplant Electrope onto Shiva, for example, you're saying we'd be able to aspect it with ice as well.
Yes. Because
Okay.
electrope in natural state, you can see it draws upon ambient ether. But if you mix it with your own, you're no longer drawing from ambient but from another source, which means can convert the ether in that it can convert both ambient ether and corporeal quote unquote ether.
Yeah, because the body then becomes the environment in which the electrope is situated. Oh, I look forward
And
to
this
seeing more of this because this is something we'll have to test with like MSQ and more
so
fights later on. I love that.
would you guys hear me out of why I'm thinking what's the thing that made me ponder this? I'm operating in the assumption guessing that a quote unquote electrope is black oracite from an equal opposed entity to Ultima. So if Ultima uses Dynamis and Soul as oracite, then black oracite from this opposite entity would be ether. And it can draw upon ether and convert ether the same way Ultima's oracite converts Dynamis.
I wouldn't go that far, but my perception of Ultima also differs slightly in that I am considering that to be an energy
It's
type.
fine.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fine.
less of an entity to me and more of like this is a law of physics in the universe. But I mean, you're right because it would aspect and process the same way as Arcite, just
The
on a
details,
fundamentally different level.
the details are the least important part here.
Right.
My point was more about what Ultima Oracite does in regards to um, uh, uh, the soul and desires and basically diamonds, and what this let's call it black oracite electrope is doing to the other opposite force, which would be ether.
So we got a question in chat. Didn't the Heart of Sabik become black after Athena's influence? So is there other colored natural oracite?
Colored natural oracite. We don't.
Wilds call that natural.
I think I can answer this because I was the one who penned the Ultima video halfway. So we don't really know if there exists other kinds of natural different colored oracites. As far as we know, the first one that we came across technically was the Heart of Sabik, although we didn't see its physical form until much later. And the one that we first saw physically in Realm Reborn was the White Oracite. As for the Heart of Sabik, we saw its form after it was fashioned by Athena. As for if it was actually black beforehand, that's to be determined.
We don't know. The wording is really ambiguous.
Right.
My goodness, I wonder why they'd make it ambiguous.
but here's the thing, though. So in P8, we get the song called White Stone Black, which can mean many different things, whether it started out as a white stone or a black stone. But we do know that it talks about the Heart of Sabik itself. That is a confirmation. So you can take that as you will. Either it started out as a white stone or a black stone. Either way, its properties remain the same.
I think the color matters less so much as how we're going about this, right? Because Arcite, specifically the Heart of Sabik, is something not of this world, because even the ancients couldn't identify it. Electrope is essentially an artificial recreation that could rival its capacity. The truth is, that's pure speculation at this point in time. These are just new revelations about the things that Electrope is capable of dealing with. But this is more of like a man-made situation versus Arcite being something of the gods at this point, right?
Right.
So
I
it's
hope that
it's-
answers your.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question, Eleanor.
Do we consider Memoria crystals to be analogous to Orosite? On a certain level, yeah.
It's a type
They
of
yeah
it, but
they were
it's not-
introduced
yeah.
by Igiorum. I mean, back
Weren't
when
they
she was in charge of the
also-
13th.
Weren't they also originally labeled Orosite until we got to the patch series?
Yes, they
Like
were.
when they
Until
were
then, yes,
previously
Yeah.
mentioned.
we knew them as Orosite, and then when we got to
Until we learned the
Pandemonium,
term
that's when
Memoria.
the origin of the name was found.
We also see them
Yes,
in
they're-
Anamnesis and Niter.
Yep.
Yes, but it's just that Memoria are basically purple, but this is the same model basically as the concept crystals in that the ancients create in Academia and Niter and Anamnesis and Niter.
Which originally I had been willing to dismiss. Oh, they just reused it. But the fact is that creatures come out of the concept crystals, and I believe creatures can also come out of the Memoria crystals as well. So
They're
they
concept
function
remains.
similarly enough. It doesn't seem like coincidence.
Yeah,
Right.
it's crystal that stores life.
Yeah.
Is like the base definition at this point. Obviously, it gets more complex up to true Orosite, or however we want to talk about it, but crystal that stores life is a pretty good base definition at this point in time.
Hmm.
I would
With life
consider
being loosely defined.
I would consider the ones the ancients used more of natural Orosite than white Orosite. White Orosite was kind of fashioned years later by Charlean researchers for specific purposes. Natural Orosite inherently has this ability to trap ether itself, similar to how the Contra Memoria traps Eidolons. And we actually know about this because Alec used natural Orosite to trap primals.
Hmm.
I think intent also matters with this too, right? Because when we're talking about Orosite with the ancients, they're just storing concept. They weren't
Mhm.
storing souls. They weren't doing anything along those lines. It's when you start getting to the Memoria when it's like this is a person's entire essence, sundered though it may be, and the way that Electrope and the way Alexandria has kind of been storing souls and solution ions being more of like an artificial tool kind of situation versus the Heart of Sabik, where Athena could literally just hide in a crystal the entire like millennia between the events of Pandemonium and where we ended up today in the story.
That is that's a huge discussion on Orosite where we may need to make another video for.
Right.
We got deterred. We got deterred pretty quickly.
It's relevant for Arcadion though, right? Because we are talking about souls and storage and souls being used in these ways and soul transformations. These are all things that have been previously been associated with Orosite through Ultima, but also through different patch content. Like that's part of, I'm guessing, why we got the whole story about Zero and the Memoria prior to Dawn Trail, was to kind of prime us for having to think about these things.
I wouldn't consider regulators Orosite. I would consider them just kind of a product that was crafted over the years to kind of process and regulate souls and memories.
We need one of those charts. Have y'all seen the raid chart that's like, is this an orb? And it's got like different kinds of mechanics and like dragon heads that cross the arena.
Yes.
Right? There's a similar one's like, is this limit cut? We need a version of this that is this our site? But it's just like a
Yes.
D&D alignment chart.
Exactly.
I feel like we
Or
could
like
make that happen.
a PowerPoint that we got when
Or
Minfilia kind of
neutral,
just
function
explained
neutral.
Yes.
explain the Asians. Here's how Asians die. Here's a PowerPoint on them.
So I wouldn't consider the regulators Orosite per se, but the how they work, it's so similar though.
Right.
Yeah, someone in chat says we know regulators
Manufactured.
don't store, they just transfer. It is basically like a
But they
link
but
to
the, they
cloud.
hold soul cells though.
They do, but not
Yes.
the memories.
Well, it's
Hmm.
they hold the soul and memories to be transferred to a facility where they are separated from the soul.
So I think the other important thing that we're missing is that Arcite functions as its own power source, whereas the regulators are made of electrope.
Yep.
Also, good
Therein
point.
lies the difference.
Yep. So that was the big revelation from M4, kind of trying to guide it back towards the Arcadian specific stuff. Other than the fact that it's just an incredibly well designed fight. How did we feel about Ixion being a soul that we could?
Did we feel?
How did you
Sorry.
feel about that, Neela? Tell me about this.
No. I'm looking at another member of the team actually right now.
Wait, me?
Yes.
No, we
You
won't
love
go
it.
into this meme.
You love Ixion.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Come
this is new,
on.
you
Why
more
is this?
efforting.
Why is this joke still going around? Okay.
Why not?
Okay, apparently there's this meme going around that I hate Ixion because I didn't like how back in Stormblood I couldn't finish the MSQ because so many people wanted to do the Fate, and so I would get to the final area of Stormblood and I couldn't get into the zone, the instance, because people were jamming it up. I kept getting kicked out.
The rest of us had to do Ralban Savage. He got to do Ixion Savage.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
Oh, I can make
And so
this worse.
the meme came out that like I hate Ixion because I can't finish the story. Oh, you just hate that thing in general. No, I don't. Well, yes, you do.
Ixion, the Fate, has been up in Midgard-Stormer while we've been having this conversation. I've been sitting here staring down at it.
Amazing.
Keep making jokes. Keep making jokes.
Well, I think it was interesting, both because they've reused like an Ixion humanoid thing before, because we saw that in Eden as well. I don't know if there's any reason they keep bringing Ixion up.
I
or
have a
if it's just
theory
fun
on this.
summon. Yeah, please
Sorry.
share.
So my theory on this is we have two major lightning aspected primalish creatures, and it's Ramu and Ixion, and Ramu's not a good fit for Eutrope.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my guess.
So you're saying that it had to be something
The, the alternate would be her growing a freaking beard. No, because of the electrope, and because
Right.
electrope uses electric ether, I think that's why they took that direction with it. Just be glad we don't live in the Eutrope.
Emulate Ramu, get a beard. Noted.
I go.
I
So
mean,
when I first
yeah.
encountered Electrope in the thing, I was like, "Oh, Electropy! This is so cool!" And then they called it Electropes, and I'm like, "Is it Eutropy or Eutrope? I don't know."
I'm gonna go with Eutrope
mean-
because that's the French for it.
Ah,
Mm.
makes sense.
So the thing with the Ixions is that you can actually see herds of the Ixions in Fate in Elpis. So they are technically magic creatures.
Ah, that also makes sense.
Is this the segue where I get to talk about Gabro?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I think
Yes.
so. Yep.
Okay, so Gabro, the second he walked up, my acid detector started beeping. Even more so when after he started talking about the fact that he was an artist. This is incredibly important because the sigil that we are associating with Arcadion, the quote-unquote brand label, is what we are, I say we, I'm not sure how the rest of y'all feel about this. There is strong evidence pointing that towards a sigil of Ultima,
Yep.
who is the convocation member who represented the seat of arts and humanities. There are many signs pointing towards Gabro maybe holding this seat, although I am leaning more in the direction of him being a shard who doesn't know at this point, largely because I don't think that Gabro as the full Ascian member would probably have gone along with Solution 9 for reasons we've already discussed, but also because I think it would be incredibly funny if he was this tortured artist who just woke up in the middle of the night with visions of, I have to draw the sigil and I don't know what it means. I genuinely know, like, I'm fully on this. He's like, oh, I'm an artist. I feel compelled to do art. I'm not projecting on him whatsoever right now. But I love the idea that he's like, oh, what should be the brand for this arena? And just accidentally draws a sigil of the seat that his soul occupied like 12,000 years ago. I think that would be hilarious. That's kind of what I want to happen on that front.
This is
mostly
important. I don't know
also
why.
sad.
Yeah. Mostly
Also
because we
sad.
don't get to fight him. Which is a shame. Anyway, there's my spiel on Gabro. I love Gabro. I'm a Gabro sympathizer and defender. Thank you very much.
Amazing. I don't know.
Do we need to clip that for posterity?
I think we do.
Oh, great.
I hadn't even considered that, but I like that a lot. Actually, I like that more than some of the other theories I've heard.
It's, well, so the reasoning for it is because he's also the Savage Unlock NPC. Excuse me. And they don't have a habit of changing who the Unlock NPC is going to be in between tiers, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, this means that I don't get my wish of fighting him, because that's how I show my affection, is I fight them as a boss. And that's just apparently not going to happen. So he'll have
As a
to
writer and
survive.
cartoonist. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Listen. Pictos
Look,
in the
as a
game,
writer and
right?
cartoonist, he's putting himself into his work, so when we do Savage, we're beating him just a little bit.
Okay. So you're saying he could be a phase 2? Is that
Well,
what you're
or
saying?
in spirit.
Okay. I appreciate you comforting me. That did
I'm
actually
helping.
make me feel better. Thank you.
I'm just imagining Gabro as a Pictomancer boss now.
Oh no.
It's
Nice.
I need to commission an artist, actually. It's interesting though, because there is also the possibility that he is a puppet. This was brought to my attention by another friend of mine. Much like Sveen was just Sveen and could hop from body to body. If he does turn out to be a little bit more malicious, that is a possibility where we're just fighting puppets of him and then one of them remains as the Savage Unlock NPC. But he's gonna have to be there until the end of the actual story at this point.
So, on that topic, I'm sorry. Are you
No,
finished with
go
that?
on.
I apologize.
Go on,
Because
go
that you just reminded me of something. Matem doesn't wear a regulator.
Correct.
He's got this cowboy hat on, and it's not.
see hiding.
Don't get me wrong. It's possible it's hidden under there, but I think so. I was like, at first I was like, this guy's sus, and then I was like, no, actually, he might be on the level. And then one of my friends pointed out, it's like he doesn't wear a regulator. I'm like, oh no, he's sus. He's sus.
He is super sus.
So honestly, like I'm starting to have theories about this guy, and we'll see. It's all very spurious so far, but like the fact that he doesn't wear a regulator is just like it could be nothing, but it doesn't feel like nothing to me.
No. It could be malicious. It could be also that he genuinely is putting his money where his mouth is because he wants to help us like get rid of these souls in the Arcadion too, right? So it could be a positive thing. But
Exactly.
it's something to keep an eye on.
Or he knows that the
It's
regulators,
very-
the regulators give access to people's memories.
Exactly. It's
While
it's,
they're
it's
in their
unclear
head.
what level of knowledge is. Here's the thing, though. This is the thing I noticed after my friend pointed this out, because he comes in after we talked to Eutrope, and he's like, "Oh, I overheard something concerning. I wouldn't have done this if I'd known, people weren't actually safe."
Bullshit.
He doesn't come in until after Eutrope is gone. And Eutrope has broken into the president's office. I found that sus. The timing. We'll see what happens with it, of course. But I found that very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He's a figure to watch, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Also, his highlights are the same color as Brute Bombers, and I don't know what to do with this data.
Maybe he's a fan. An announcer could be a fan of a fighter.
It could be a fan, exactly. Like it's just interesting to me, though. No, it's just interesting because it's not the only instance of two characters in the Raid series having the same color highlights, and I'm just like, what does this mean?
So, question. What do we think about the idea that Eutrope is a shard of Bostazia?
I don't think it fits personally, but people can go crazy.
I mean, it could be because this expansion they basically using they're referencing Shadowbringers like mad, so I could see entirely possible that it's the case.
I mean, for me, it's not a perfect fit. I will say that.
Agreed.
But you've got the Beehive, and you've got Bostazia, who looks almost identical to Eutrope.
With different facial structure. I think I checked this. I can actually check it now.
Her eyes are different. Is the thing that got
It's more
me.
than just that.
Yeah.
I am not perceiving the name that you were saying right now, like whatsoever.
She is in the Beehive. She's a. I don't know what to call her politely.
Yeah, Eutrope has
Okay.
face. So Eutrope has face 1 and Bostazia has face
Oh.
2, for example. Like totally different face choices. At
No.
least in the so it's possible that they're doing something differently than they did in Shadowbringers, or that they have someone else in charge. But in Shadowbringers, the soul shards had identical facial data. Like skin color and stuff would be different, which makes sense because A, they're born to different parents, and 2, it's different like geographical regions in some cases.
Yeah.
But everything about face, jaw shape, eye shape, all this stuff was identical. And I'm not seeing much of that in the NPCs that I've wondered if they're soul shards, and I'm not sure if they've just dropped that detail or if they're not shards. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I will say I mathed it out. The chances of everything being identical are about 1 in 950,000.
It's not a coincidence, exactly. This does not happen by accident.
Aeneas, I'm gonna tag you in live chat.
Yeah, the way you're saying the name does not reconcile with any way that I have ever read it. So I was like, who
Yeah.
are you going on about?
No, it's something I saw and I went, okay.
It is very.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a thing.
Well, it's
I
only
do-
because we interacted with the girl in Shadowbringers maybe like once or twice,
Hmm.
and she was in MSQ.
Yeah,
we had
and
to,
I
we had to
probably-
face her.
Probably wouldn't remember her if she wasn't like in the encyclopedia or Eorzea's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that more of the community is going on these deep dives now where they're trying to find any small thread that we get all these cool connections, because I guarantee
Yeah.
like all of the intershardal relationship type things we would not be able to, as a small group of crazy people, find all of that. That's like having the wider net to
Yeah.
come up with these
I do
theories
wanna
too,
warn
and look on
people-
it. It's great.
I do want to warn people. Not everything is a shard of this person. Not
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes
it's fun to theorize about it.
Yeah, sometimes a something is just a something.
Something is just a something, but it's yeah.
It's an
I guess I do
an
see a lot
interesting
of-
feeling. It's one. You want to go ahead?
I was just gonna say, like, I see a lot of people on like social media and in different forums, different discords, just kind of saying that, oh, this person is a shard of this person, this shard is a shard of this person is this person, because they share the same hairstyle, because they share the same
The hairstyle's the easiest thing to change.
personality, eye color, all that.
Right.
They have to be another shard, and I'm like, well, not really. It can be coincidence, or it can be truthful and it can be confirmed later on down the line. Just take it with a grain of salt.
So I'm
Mhm.
I'm
a little bit.
I'm of the opinion that I don't believe that every shard should have a shard of a person who's currently alive on the source. That should not be
Right.
how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, I just had a little brain moment here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cub, but I have something to say afterwards.
So I'm just saying, like, because of time dilation and just because of how life works, some people are going to be dead on some shards while they're
Yeah.
alive on others, and they
Yep.
like there should not be a 1-to-1 on every single shard.
Right.
Yeah, so I agree, and I also have it's something that's troubled me a little bit before of like, oh, why are these things like this? Why is it thus? And I just realized something about living memory, how it says something about manifesting souls when other people are nearby, and that's, why we think Kryle's parents appeared at this moment and all of that. Now I'm wondering if the live stream does something similar with souls that might want to be together in life and tends to send them out at the same time, like, because this is sort of imitating that, and now my brain just sort of went
No, I mean,
I
that's a good
think-
point. We were talking about that with the trolley group a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
There's others
mhm.
localized instances of it all over the story. That's a good point.
And it happens there,
that
and it
is
also
one of those
happens.
instances where it's
It's
kind
a
of confirmed.
Yeah, it's a mechanic in living memory, which makes me think this is a theme, a thread that's running through all of this, and they were imitating reality in this case. I don't know. That's just a little thought that I just had.
No, it's good. It's good, Neela. Keep cooking.
I am cooking.
I have been thinking that like
Steam coming
for
out
a
of my ears.
while now, but that's one of those things that you don't mention because you come across as madcap and crazy. So
You are crazy, meows.
I know, but I take the blunt of craziness for the sake of saving you all from being too much crazy.
You have 200 pages of theories.
I can't wait to go through
It's
them.
not so much. It's not so much theories, but a whole hellhole that Neela and I have been. I have stumbled down like
If
for a
it's
week
200
now.
pages, you might as well release it as a novel.
That would take
Or a
some
long
editing
form video.
first. There you go.
It's can I spin this in a way that might make people a little happy as we're all grappling with this revelation?
Yeah.
Because I saw some people be saddened that Galul Jaja was separated from the other half of his companion, for lack of a better term, because they are different
brother.
souls. Yeah, his brother. They inhabit the same body, right? I like to think that one way or another they'll find each other again, and they don't have to go through their next life alone. That
Oh
they
my
will
God, I
still
love
have
that.
each other. See,
I was wondering about this with twins too, because it seems like, Alpha Noah and Alizé, what would they be like if they were born separately? I don't know. Well, maybe the life stream guides them towards twins in every life,
right? And
I'm
maybe,
sorry.
yeah. Well, here's the thing: is we can follow this to a natural conclusion where this is how blessed siblings happen in the first place, and that's why it's so rare for that to be a successful birth. Is because you have to have you can't just have any two souls. They have to be two souls that would always find each other. And that
I love that.
to have that 100% cohesion, that they will always be by your side, that's a rare thing, right? So to be able to have a pair of blessed siblings, the life stream would have to have two souls that are so inseparable in that way.
Yes.
That would have to be why it works. So I am choosing to go along with this, Neela, mostly because of the poetry of that. Oh, chef's kiss.
There's stories like that, mythologies in real life. So when I was a kid, this was before the internet age was very big. It was very niche at the time when I was young. So my parents bought a World Book Encyclopedia set, and it included a children's encyclopedia set with all these stories from all over the world. And I remember reading, I think it was a Chinese fairy folktale type of story about two souls being born together, and one was always impatient and jumped into the pool first, and then they would be like different species, and one was like a cow and the other one was like a human and take care of the cow. And it was just kind of, so there's what I'm getting at is that there's a basis in real life mythology where humans, we like these kinds of stories.
I'm sitting here crying. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean it's a beautiful thought, and we know that in the live stream, it's not like souls can't communicate with each other. Like Hyphladeus and Emetzelk are perfect examples. And they can say, hey, let's go be reborn together at the same time, and chances are that if two souls are destined to be together, they're going to find each other on separate shards live streams as well.
Yes.
I like that.
Something warm and happy in this depressing emotional trauma of a game.
I'm just crying about
10
this.
out of 10. Gave me emotional damage. Would play again.
Well,
That's what I
it's-
pay for.
Yeah, well, we're talking about rating right now, and I am a hopeless romantic about rating. I like the idea that our own Warriors of Light would maybe have that too. I like the idea that, like, Aeneas as a raider would find, like, my static again. Like, I'm sitting here thinking about that.
Oh, yes.
Like, in any universe, I would choose to go into combat with these specific people, and I would choose them every
Yes.
single time. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
I love it.
Bringing you to tears.
Thank you for making me cry on LoreLines. It finally happened.
That's
It
what
only
we
took a
aim
month.
for. Whether it's making Meowth cackle or making you cry, it's what we aim for.
Great.
And AC Gears and Arms says, what if Emmett Selk reincarnates as a lady? Then Emmett Selk reincarnates as a lady. It's fine.
The ancients did not care about gender.
No, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
see that with Metron.
Non-binary icon.
Love it.
You know, I think we've just found a version of Emmett Selk that I haven't cosplayed yet somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Sailor,
yeah.
Sailor Emmett
I
Selk?
haven't done a gender bend yet.
What?
Lady Emmett Selk.
Lady
Whoa.
Selk?
Femmet Selk.
Ah. That's also very good.
Femmet Selk and Themmet Selk are fantastic.
The challenge has been issued. Go forth.
Yeah. Let me finish with Gabro. Then I'll get right on it, boss.
Finish with Gabro. Very well.
Not like that! whoa.
We've just caused her just
Welcome-
a whole spectrum of emotions in the span of like
Welcome
5
to-
minutes.
Welcome to Lewd
I've
Lines.
experienced Lewd Lines. Yeah. Fuck the 6 stages of grief. This is the 9 stages of lore.
Right?
That was all of the Arcadion notes that I had as far as things that I thought y'all would find interesting from the raid, though. If anybody has anything else. Just to kind of bring it back on
How
track.
much should we-
So
How
where
much
do
should we talk about the arena itself and like creating these vast cityscapes and stuff?
So we should talk about
Yeah.
that and the pictures that
Oh,
are
the
in
memories
Savage.
on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, that is something that's fascinating. Yeah, so we see Eutrope's memories scattered on the walls of the second phase in the arena of her family. Notably, a male Mikote that we did not see elsewhere that I am assuming is the father of these 3 girls. Something important to note is these do not stay on the walls when you defeat the boss. They fade as her life force fades when you defeat her, or rather the souls. My personal interpretation of this is that in incorporating Electrope into her body, she's kind of amplifying those memories as well, so it's not the soul that's augmented, but also the being behind it. That was my interpretation, and I know it's not the only one.
Memories in the walls, huh?
Yeah,
That's,
we've seen that
that's
before.
extremely. Yeah, that's
Eden, yeah.
Eden, yeah.
It was very evocative of Eden.
and memory was a big theme in Eden as well. So yeah, that is interesting thing to bring back.
Hmm.
Did you have any thoughts, Cobb, since you mentioned it?
So I think we should talk about what happens to the fighters when they quote unquote retire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because we didn't mention that. And so the idea is, once you quote unquote retire at the top, you live a life of luxury, and pretty much everything is great.
You go to a farm and you live there happily, just like my dog.
You
I'm kidding.
go to a farm, yes. You go to the soul farm. They take
What
your
I found
regulator away, and they basically...
Yeah, what I found interesting... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they take your regulator away, and then they kill you and take your soul.
That's not said, though. That's not said. Actually, that's what the point I was about to bring up was that they said they take your they with the regulators removed, and then they like wait for him to die. Let me find the exact line because I found it very suspicious. I think they're like not dead and that they're experimenting on them, and I think we may fight a few of them later.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, because it was very specific that they
Yeah.
weren't dead. That they just.
Because at first I
taken.
thought. I thought they were killing him too, and it's like, no, they're taking off the regulator and they don't know when they're killed.
Hmm.
Let me find this.
Either way, it's horrific.
I have too many screenshots. Oh, it is. It's freaking great. It's terrible. I love to hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, here we go. Rather than to new homes, the fighters are taken to a secret facility. There, their regulators are removed and they are kept in confinement until they die. It doesn't say they're killed, but the fact that they're until they die, and it's like, well, how long does that take?
Yeah, probably not too long.
Without their regulators fitted, Everkeep's systems have no way of detecting their death, nor of preserving their memory.
Not creepy
Yeah.
or ominous at all.
So, anyway, so that's why I think there's a very good chance that we're going to be fighting a few later.
Yeah, that's also President shit.
And the
shit.
president is also super sus. I'm not convinced that Metem isn't the president and pretending, oh, this voice from on high, but we'll see. You know, who knows?
I kind of agree with that.
I think there's something else.
Yeah,
but-
I think Metem is kind of like a high representative of the president.
Yeah,
But not
I
president.
can't rule it out that he is, but I don't think it's necessarily the case.
Right.
Can I propose something? What if Metem
Please.
was a fighter in the arena and took his regulator off? What if he knows more than he
Huh.
has been letting on? Either because he was maybe one of the first and has like, oh, I want to retire and announce, or because it is a more nefarious thing and he does know a bit too much.
So the
That
point
would be interesting.
the point
Yeah.
is never trust a Lalafell, even on another shard.
I've
You
seen some
can
people saying
call
that he's
yourselves
got to be
Malala,
Kaleji at Aleji's shard, and I'm like, please no.
God.
Not
He's
again.
got the mustache, but that's it. I checked. I actually thought of that too, and I checked it. It doesn't appear to be the case. He does have the mustache.
May I throw a thought that occurred to me as of what you're saying?
Mhm.
So
Go
in the
on.
Arcadian about fighters, we know that they merge with Beast Soul. But what if Metem was fighter who was merged with another human soul, and then they split, and the president is like the corrupted part of it?
That would be
you're
kind of
thinking-
La Habrea-ish.
Yeah, La Habrea Hephaestus Edge. That's a possibility. It's there. That's fun to think about. There is another proposition that I think Arden and Meowth will be excited about, because you've both heard me talk about this. There is a
Mhm.
possibility that we get an Alexander fusion in Arcadion, and there are many other Final Fantasy titles that point in this direction. Namely 9,
And
13,
Necro.
and 11. Yep.
Yes.
No, I'm thinking World of Final Fantasy.
Yes. It's interesting. The reason I bring this up is because there is an entire expansion in Final Fantasy XI that predicates with a man becoming Alexander, like a blue mage who absorbs beast souls, because that's how blue mage works in 11. And eventually your soul becomes corrupted and you turn into a mind flayer, because that's what happens. You go feral. That's their idea of a feral soul in 11. What Rosfod did instead was merge himself with Alexander to become the final boss of the expansion. I'm just saying this sounds very similar to the Arcadian
Yes.
in Alexandria, which is also associated with Alexander in Solution 9, which is heavily inspired by Academia in Final Fantasy 13, which is also associated with Alexander. I'm just saying, the signs are there. We got another Ixian boss. I want another Alexander boss. Selfishly, the signs are
I
there.
can so see it.
What if Alexander was a really hot man and we got to fight him? I'm just saying.
I like that idea.
Yes, please.
I mean, Alexander and Hope Estine. There's that. So
Yeah, someone in chat says the Dark Rider with Odin in 11. It's literally the fight where somebody gives himself up to Odin to defeat Alexander in the same exact fashion. It's
Yeah.
great. There is
I'm gonna
possibility.
go very tinfoil hat and half joking here. People have been pointing out that it's possible for the Unsundered to have reincarnated in Alexandria because of how much time has passed. I'm perfectly on the fence of if I agree with that. But now I'm just imagining, like, one of the Unsundered being the one to fuse with Alexander
Wait,
in a fucking fight.
Don't
Wow.
Rosfodify. Don't Ros. I can't believe that's a word. Don't Rosfodify one of the Unsundered. Why would you do this, Arden?
Well,
This is so unlikable. Why? Why would you do this?
Themis was like, the light. Maybe he was getting reincarnated into Alexandria. You never know.
Thanks, I hate it.
Do you really want Themis to become a Rosfod character, Arden? Just think about that.
No, but also it'd be kind of funny.
It would be kind of funny. I could see lose off on the Odin side of things, but I think we're more likely to get the Alexander combo than anything else at this point. Also, Alexander is great. We should have more of him in raids and tweet.
I agree.
Agreed.
Alexander's pretty awesome, especially
Seconded.
after we see that pretty much every time Alexander appears, shit gets fucked up.
Good.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Because he's the great wall / tower of fuck you.
Cobb is just processing Alexander in Type 0, causing over how many casualties?
137,000. Alexander
Okay.
killed 137,000 people.
That's such a specific number.
It is.
Anyway, everybody go watch the Treasures of Adargon cutscenes if you want to learn about Rosfod Alexander and why Arden is causing horrible brainworms right now. Evil, evil.
I only played 11 for like maybe 8 or 10 hours.
We really need a LoreLines plays all of the 11 expansions.
That would take so long.
It would take way less time than you think.
Yeah,
Really?
it's really not that bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's so easy to mainline the games as long as you have at least one veteran in your group who knows where the quest objectives are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I may
pretty well
return one day,
positioned.
but it's me fighting the final boss of the game, which is actually at the start of the game, which is play online.
Yeah.
I've got you covered. Hold on. I have
Yeah.
something to do, Ayumi.
Yes, they do deco. The theory comes from after Alexandria fused with the Source. Which, in that same cutscene, 30 years go by.
Here you go, Ayumi. Enjoy. Go forth.
Stop trying to convince me.
No. I've made it so easy for you to install the game. Go play it.
I have to see what you post.
Chat, save me.
No.
There is no saving you, regardless of if you play 11 or not.
Chat,
It'll be
save
subjective
me.
to it with Arden and me here. You
Cat,
cannot
encourage him
escape.
to do it.
Open
No,
your
you
eyes,
too, Neela.
Open your eyes.
Okay,
Open
but
your
you
eyes
have to
and
understand,
start casting down
Ineas.
Loveless
I-
embrace. The gods
I do
will
not
be
qualify.
watching.
You have to understand, Ineas. I do not qualify as one of these things, and that's on Windows PC.
Oh, well,
Don't leave me in here with these crazy
Windows
people.
has unfortunately lost my trust, and I'm a Linux fucker now.
Oh, it's actually even easier on Linux. Congratulations.
Oh, that's good news.
You do not get to
No,
escape
honestly,
Final Fantasy
that's
11.
honestly great news because I was like, well, I don't know if I want to mess with this because I'm still kind of learning Linux. So anything that's easy is good.
Yeah, you should be able to load it in a VM, and you won't have any of the like windowing issues that anyone else has.
Hey.
Amazing.
Anyway, that's
I'm-
my
I'm-
daily Final Fantasy 11 plug. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna
for
have to
listening.
talk to you after stream about that. Getting it set up so I don't want to bash my head in.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
So-
you
bad,
can't bash your head
honestly.
in before doing it because you need to use your head.
apparently.
That's difficult.
That noise.
So, okay. So, do we have anything else we want to say about the Arcadion? Because we are at time.
Go do the Arcadian. It's not hard. It's fun. Maybe Savages too.
I'm going to copy that link, Arden posted. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So, I want to talk about what's coming up then. Elias, did you mention soul necrosis, which is what
Oh yeah, we should go into
what
that.
a trope is experiencing?
Necropsychosis.
Necropsych.
Psychonecrosis. I had it back.
Psychonecrosis. I was gonna
'Cause
say
I know
don't go
psyche
into
is soul and
necropsych, 'cause I'm
necro
going
is-
into netherpsych next, and that's a trigger word for me and Meowth.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I was talking about when doing like the whole soul corruption, soul degradation thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we don't know too much about yet, other than the fact that
Yes.
I am likening it to the way that our soul was cracking under the pressure of taking on all of the light ether and Shadowbringers. I imagine taking on
agree.
different souls and souls of different forms is going to do similar things to your soul, especially if you're absorbing beast forms like Final Fantasy 11 Blue Mages. It's the same kind of deal.
Right.
Well, and even more, you're absorbing the same soul, or utilizing and attuning to the same soul again and again, because they have preferred like beast souls that they use for their transformations. So there's not even any balance to it. We should mention the eyes as well. I forget who it was that spotted it. Someone in our Discord pointed it out. Both. Well, we already talked about Yana's eyes, the black cat's eyes. We did not mention that both. Honeybee Lovely and Brute Bomber have odd eyes, have heterochromia, and both of them have a more yellowish eye. And then Eutropy's eyes are both golden. And it's like, something's going on there, and I don't know. Because Eutropy says, I noticed changes with my body, something along those lines. But she doesn't clarify what. But then looking at both of those bosses being odd eyes, and Yana's eyes being so unusual, I'm like, was it that?
It makes sense that changes to one's soul reflects in
I
the
agree.
eyes just because they're so heavily linked, but also we see this when we're looking at dragons, for example, which are unsundered. Their eyes are also very special. When you go to Elpis, there are patterns inside the eyes of the unsundered from which our souls came from, and we don't have that. So it necessarily follows that changes to one's soul, taking on different kinds of souls, combining yours and diluting yourself would also change that. Again, personal interpretation for that.
That's
right
my
now.
perspective as well, and I've held that since Shadowbringers, when they were usually keeping eye color the same between soul shards, and I was like, yeah, there's the soul is, or the eyes are literally the window to the soul in this case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
specifically,
it's fun to see that
Yeah.
be a literal thing too.
like Tainer and Ukalhai is, I think, the best example of that.
Mm-hmm. Theirs are actually different, but yes.
They're both purple.
What's interesting with
You
Tanner and
know-
Ukai-Hai,
no.
going off on a tangent here, is that they're like one step away, which I think implies that because they had to like selectively breed to get these mages to work in tandem on the first. This is the caster roll quest line. I'm guessing that similarity of soul is a requirement, given the similarity of eyes.
But then if you replace the soul,
Yeah, that's a little worrisome.
yeah, that's what I was saying. It's not necessarily the same soul, regardless of what the person may look like. Just
Yeah.
kind of
we can't trust anything anymore. God
No.
damn it.
right.
No.
But in a good way, at
no,
least,
you
least,
darn it,
unlike
Alexander.
how
You
I
can't
felt in
just say
Endwalker.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Much to ponder. Maybe we'll get more hard answers for this later on in Arcadion, because even just the fights themselves, without explicitly telling us anything, have given a lot of more insight into how the soul science and ether science now works.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep learning things one way or another.
Right.
Yeah, and it's very exciting. I'm a big fan of diving into this stuff the way they have.
Absolutely. There's a lot of exciting stuff in this expansion that I'm looking forward to. They've opened a lot of really interesting doors. So excited to talk more about it, and I'm excited to learn more as things come out.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be insane about raiding for a little bit. I know I talked a lot this episode. This is
No.
very much my niche is raid mechanics and lore and how they work together.
Love it. So I want to talk a little bit about next couple of weeks. On next week, we are going to have Rook on. She's going to be joining us talking about the Dawn Trail lore stuff. And then after that, we'll have Croatone on. So on the 24th of August. So very much looking forward to that. And then on the 31st, at the very end of the month, Arden and Aeneas get to lose their minds because we're having the Final Fantasy XI episode.
Yay!
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And
Well, we may need to look at dates on that one because I will be at DragonCon on the 31st.
that's
Oh,
fine.
that's right.
Yeah, I am out
okay.
for a week.
Okay, not a problem.
Maybe we can.
Just kidding. We'll change it.
No, hold on. No, talk about Final Fantasy XI, and I will have it on and see how much y'all are just guessing correctly.
No, we want to have you
No,
on.
we need
so maybe we can. Maybe I can get a hold of Anonymous and we can have him back.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Just have
So-
all three of us going off about 11.
Be a good time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But anyway, next 2 weeks at least are locked in.
Yes. What about October? Isn't there something going on?
Yes.
In October?
October.
All Hallows Eve.
Well, no, besides that. At Gateway Fate, we have been approved for a panel, and we are going to be doing LoreLines live at Gateway Fate.
Yay!
So, very excited about that. I know
Yes.
Yumi, I, and Aeneas will all be there. So,
Yes, we
Please
will
join
be
us.
there together. 3 of the cast will be there together live. So if you're going to Gateway Fate, we will be there in person.
yes. And then we're still...
Wait, where is this at?
This is in St. Louis.
That's like a day trip for me.
You should go.
Yeah, it's 2 days. It's
Oh.
Saturday and Sunday.
Hmm.
Maybe Neela.
No, I mean like
Neela appearance.
I can't guarantee it because I will be starting school soon. But I'm going to look into this. Let's
But
just
it's on a
say.
weekend.
It's on a weekend.
Yeah, but homework. Yes.
Do it there. Bring it with you.
How dare you be responsible?
Yes, sir.
Consider you can torture me in person.
Ooh,
True.
tempting.
I will certainly I will look into this and I will see if I can swing it because I was realizing I'm like, I might actually be able to do this.
I say you live not too far away from me. It's
Yeah. I don't even have to get a hotel. I can just come home.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Also,
We'll figure it out.
I want to say, so I have finally finished Final Fantasy Type 0, and the agreement was that once I finish that game, Meowth is going to start playing Final Fantasy 6 on stream.
Mm-hmm.
You sound so enthusiastic.
Please
So-
look forward to it.
So please look forward to that. All right, everybody. Thank you again so much. And we will see you again next week. We will be airing at a later time next week. We'll be at 11 a.m. Next week,
11 a.m. What
Eastern time.
time zone? There we go.
All right. Thank you all.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.